Hey guys, and welcome to Gwent, the Witcher card game. My name is Jaggerous, and today I have a Skellige Eist deck list for you. I call it the Feisty Eist deck list, and it comes from a player called Freddybabes. Freddybabes is a competitive Gwent player. He's won Gwent Challenger in the past. He is a very good player. He knows his Gwent, and he is the player who made this deck. So this is Freddy's Eist Tweersec list. So your leader, he will resurrect a warrior from your graveyard and play it. So you have this option to resurrect your warriors, very useful in the final round as an extra tempo play. So then we have one of the newer cards, Svalblod Totem. Deploy. When you play this, you spawn 2 Svalblod Fanatics, which are a 4 strength unit on either side of the totem, and then you can order the totem to damage adjacent units by 2. So you could damage your own fanatics, which actually transforms them into 5 strength bear abominations. So potential to do create 10 points of value, but also 4 points, so 8 points. On top of that, it gives you the ability to damage your own units, which can be useful in this deck. We are running Olaf as our finisher. Boost Olaf by twice the amount he is damaged. So placing him next to a totem allows us to damage him, which we can then heal and boost. We have the standard discard package, so we have Burner Bran, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, and discard targets do include things like the Tweersec Skirmishers. When they are discarded, they get summoned from the graveyard to the melee row, so discard them and then put them on the board. Similarly, we have Morkvarg, which is another good discard target, as when you put him in the graveyard, he then gets summoned to the board. Coral will allow us to discard cards as well, and she has 2 charges and Zeal, so you can use that the turn that she's played. If you discard a spell, then you actually also damage enemy units by 2, and the spells that we typically want to be discarding are these Spores. We have a couple of those in the deck, although you do have the option also for Primal Savagery. Primal Savagery, if you damage an enemy unit by 2 and kill it, then you will spawn a 5-point bear on your side of the board, so it's 2 damage, but if you can kill something, it is 7 points, so pretty decent. Not a bad card, but, you know, potentially something you can discard if you want to try and find cards with Coral. Then we have Becca's Dark Mirror. Choose a unit. If it is boosted, damage it by double the amount boosted. If it is damaged, boost it by double the amount damaged. So this we usually want to utilize with Yuta Andimon, who is a warrior, by the way, so we can resurrect her and play her twice. If Yuta Andimon is the highest unit, damage self by 6. So she goes down to 6. But if you have a higher unit on the board, you can actually just play her for 12, which is sometimes an option. However, if she goes down to 6, we can then use Becca's Dark Mirror on her to boost her further and gain points. Similarly, if we place her next to the totem, we can then damage her a little bit more before we play the Becca's Dark Mirror onto her. Alternatively, if our Olaf gets locked so that we can't use the order, we can always use Becca's Dark Mirror on him. We also have Knut the Callous, who is another warrior, so another resurrect target. Deploy damage an allied unit to the right, so think about your positioning here, by half of its current power, and damage an enemy unit by that amount. So we can place this next to Olaf, deal damage to Olaf, deal damage to our opponent, and then boost up and heal Olaf, and it's a really nice finisher with this list, so pretty powerful. We have Vildkarl. He is worth 5, and when we deal damage to him, down to half of his strength, he transformed into a champion of Svalblod, which is a 12 strength bear, which you can order to destroy an allied unit and heal itself. So this is a tricky one because a lot of the time I feel like it gets removed or locked, but it does again synergize nicely with Knut. We have Harald Houndsnout, who will spawn 3 of Harald's pals, the little skulls, and if you can kill those skulls, they're on your side of the board, then it will damage the opponent by 2, and we can actually utilize Harald's ability to damage the skulls. It also synergizes quite nicely with the Svalblod Butchers. Damage an allied unit by 2, then give an enemy unit bleeding for 3 turns. So we summon the skulls, we damage them with the Butcher, and then we apply bleeding to our opponent and also shoot them from the damage to the skull. Then we have Hjalmar Ungreat, another warrior, by the way. You gotta keep an eye on these. Place him on the melee row, banish something out of your graveyard, damage an enemy unit by its power. Good banish targets are Count Caldwell and Yuta because they're both high power, so you can deal a lot of damage. But bear in mind, if you banish Yuta, you can't then resurrect her with Eist. She is banished out of the graveyard. We have a couple Dim and Light Longships, which fit nicely into the bronze package. Use them to damage itself and also an enemy by 1. And if we damage those enemies by 1, then we can use the Svalblod Ravager to damage an enemy by 2. Bloodthirst 2 gives it bleeding. So Bloodthirst is when you damage units on your opponent's side. If you have 2 damaged units on your opponent's side, you can then use the Svalblod Ravager to give units bleeding. So these 2 synergize quite nicely. Hey Maeskeld fits into the discard package. Discard a card, then draw a card. And last but not least, we have the Ancrate Marauder. Melee row, split 4 damage randomly between all other units. This is something that you typically want to play if you're going second, because all of the damage then goes on your opponent. Otherwise, it can hit your own units. It is also a discard target, you know, depending on how the game goes. So this we can potentially discard if we end up with it in our hand in a round where we don't see the kind of value that we want from it. So, ladies and gentlemen, that is the deck. If you enjoy the deck, don't forget, oh my gosh, to leave a like on this video. And without further ado, I'm going to jump into some ranked games now, and I'll showcase this deck in action. So let's get feisty with Eist.
I respect nothing human.
Okay, so here we are against Eist, Eist being the leader who damages a unit by 4 with 4 charges, so potentially worth worrying about Scorch. In terms of our hand, we have Coral and we have 2 Spores, which is really good. We also have Berna, but not very many discard targets for her, although we can find them in the future. I would usually mulligan Hjalmar if I have it here, just because it's not, you know, something that you want till later on. We mulliganed into Yuta, and we don't have Harold, so I'm going to throw the Cultist. And we did get a Svalblod Ravager, which is okay if we'd kept the boat, but we're going to be cycling our cards here anyway, so it's not too much of a problem. Not too much of a problem. Going second, so our opponent has tactical advantage. If you have tactical advantage, you can actually utilize it to boost something above 12 and then play Yuta for full value. So that is something that's worth considering in terms of playing this game. We don't really... Well, Coral we're actually probably okay to play because you discard, then you draw. So she's okay to be played first. And actually, this is a really nice time to play her because she'll kill the Hawker Smuggler and deny our opponent the boosting. So what we're going to do, we'll pop Coral down here. Trigger her ability. Discard the Spores. We drew a Skirmisher, which we can actually discard with Burner. Trigger again. Discard the other Spores. And boop. Job's a good one. Look at that. What a great play. So Skirmisher, like I said, we can discard with Berna, but Berna draws before she discards. So you never want to play Berna first, because you can't have more than 10 cards in your hand, so you have to be a little bit kind of smart about that. But you can play her second. The tricky part is we don't necessarily have a second discard target. So Dwarven Agitator is usually indicative of Sheldon Skaggs, so that is worth kind of being a little bit aware of here. We could, like I said, we could play Berna. It just depends on what we draw into. We can always discard the Svalblod Butcher, and it's not awful. And I think I'm going to just, you know, do this to start cycling my deck. And no discard target, but we do have another discard here with the Haymace Skald. So we'll throw the Skirmisher and I think one of the Ravagers, just because 2 Ravagers. It's a little bit tricky to play. Unfortunately, no Morkvarg. You know, Morkvarg and this other Skirmisher would have been the best target, so we have to be a little bit cautious about those going forward. But all in all, I think it's probably fine.
Let the doe live.
So Dryad Fledglings have Harmony, which means if they play something with a different name, these are going to, you know, maybe be a slight problem. I think for now, what we're going to look to do is we're going to play Vildkarl. We'll put him here on the back row. Often Vildkarl gets locked or removed, but, you know, at this point in the game, it's okay to play it, and it puts us 1 point ahead of our opponent. So we are putting pressure on them, which is pretty good. And then what we'll do is we can play Knut and hit the Vildkarl, and, you know, life's good. But we'll probably see, ooh, 2 damage. We got 2 points out of their leader out of that. And you see, you had to be careful, because if she'd hit it with the Panther first, it actually would have triggered its ability, which would have been kind of funny. So she wouldn't have been able to get the benefit. We are down 9 points. So I don't think we can... Oh, actually, that's a lie. I was going to say I don't think we can catch her with 1 card, but we can with Coldwell. However, bearing in mind she has a 7 here on the board, so we need to be a little bit, I guess, wary that they might kidnap Coldwell, right? So that is something that you want to be, I guess, a little cautious of. I don't hate it, but I don't love it, you know? It's one of these, like, is this the play I want to make? I mean, arguably we can hit this, right? Let's play Coldwell.
If you insist.
And then end our turn. Puts us ahead of our opponent, but we have to be a little bit cautious of Coldwell defecting to the other side. The question is, do we think that we can damage our opponent by enough? We have options with the Svalblod Ravager. We can always just use this as a 4-point play, which I don't really hate. Damage an allied unit by 2, then give an enemy unit bleeding for 4 turns. We could just kill this. We are down by 6. The alternative is we play the discard, but I don't think you want to play the discard here, really. The question is, do we want to try and, really push and stay ahead? And, I think we're actually okay to make a lower tempo play here. So let's play this. Unfortunately, no Herald Pals, so we'll do this. But, it's fine. I think it's fine. It still also wounds one of them, and if we can wound one of their units, that's actually pretty good for us. He's gonna have something huge. This might actually be the pass, to be honest, but then if we pass, then he doesn't play the huge card, and that's kind of unfortunate. We would rather that he played the big card, I think what we'll do here is we'll play Knut. Remember, you got to play this. It's going to damage the unit to the right, so think about your positioning, and I'm going to use it on Burner here. And now we have 2 bleeding units, which means we can utilize the Svalblod Ravager, should we wish. Depending on how our opponent chooses to play this.
Feel any burning? See a local healer or white.
And I think this is probably the pass, right? We didn't lose Count Coldwell, which means he's going to go into the graveyard, which we want in case we draw Hjalmar. We aren't behind in cards. We lose last play, so it depends on how important we kind of feel that play is. In this deck, I think we should probably be okay, but the gap that we have, given the cards in our hand, is not ideal. We have set up our graveyard, though, which is definitely something that we wanted to do. So I'm kind of okay with this. Like, I feel like our opponent spent quite a lot. But she did buff up something, pretty big. So slightly awkward. We can discard this with the Heime Skjald. We have to be a little bit wary of Morkvog is the only thing. We could also just play the Ancrate Marauder as our play here, which I don't hate, Becca's Dark Mirror would be a really good draw. We'll have to wait and see what it is our opponent decides to do, whether she chooses to play or whether she chooses to pass. And there's the pass, which is, to be expected. So, I think we just play the Marauder. We could play the Skald, discard the Skirmisher, but it's not a bad play for the next round. So it's like, on the flip side, this gives us more power over our mulligan, which I kind of like. So maybe we're going to make this play. Because you don't really want to be drawing in the final round if there's bad draws. So I think that is probably what we want to do here. And like you could have played the Marauder just to kind of get it out of your hand, but we can always mulligan it, like I said. And there's Becker's Dark Mirror, and there is Primal Savagery, and there is a Butcher. So this is definitely a mulligan. Longship is not awful. It does allow us to set up, but then these 3, like I think any of these are better. It does allow us to set up the Ravager, so potentially you mulligan the Ravager, but I think we probably mulligan the Longship. And we got Harold, which is not a bad inclusion, especially with a Butcher in hand. So yeah, I like it. So we could open with Harold. I don't hate opening with Harold, because he takes a turn to trigger anyway. So, we don't have to worry too much about the damage. We can deal the damage on the next turn. Although if she's smart, I was going to say she may use her leader if she's smart to ping these off while there's nothing on the board. Apparently she ain't so smart. But we can give bleeding to this unit, so let's do that. So we'll do this, kill one of Harold's spells, and apply the bleed, and end our turn.
Show me the coin or sod off.
So this is definitely something we want to deal with, but I'm just wondering what the best way to deal with it is. We can deal 2 damage to it with the Svalblod Ravager, but we really want to have a second damage unit to do that. We could use Hjalmar, but I don't think that's so necessary here. So I think what I might do just for now is play the Totem. And let this just tick for 1 turn. I think that's probably okay, because we want to damage another unit first before we use the Svalblod Ravager. So we would rather, see a second damaged unit. And this is actually fine, because we can play Olaf here and then damage him. And that's not a bad play. I think our res is going to be Knut, right? But usually we want to use Knut on Olaf, rather than on a different target. So it may be that we actually have to instead just use this for 2 damage, because I don't think we're going to get the bleeding units that we want, unfortunately. So yeah, I think I'm just going to play this for 2 damage. It means that we can then activate the Primal Savagery, which I think is better than using Savagery and then trying to get the Ravager's Bloodthirst off. And unfortunately there is a boost. Okay, so let's get Olaf down here on the board now. If they have if they have their Sheldon, which I imagine that they do, this is where we'll see it. Yeah. But that's okay. I'm kind of, like, I'm okay with that because we now have Sheldon that we can use Hjalmar for, right? So now we do this. Banish Caldwell. And we managed to get that out to see the value in return. So it's not too bad that they had the Sheldon because we could deny the damage there. Whereas if they last played Sheldon, we wouldn't have been able to remove the 10-point body. So the bait there is actually kind of okay. Okay, so I think we probably want to play Yuta. And we'll pop her down here in this little gap.
Exactly what I'd hoped for.
Because again, we can damage her with the tower and then use Becker's Dark Mirror to make a super big unit. I think we're only going to see 2 points of out of Primal Travatry though. Unless we utilize the Knut play, which we could do next, and that's actually going to be really big if we think about it correctly. A little bit of sequencing here, okay? Assuming Yuta doesn't get killed. I don't think she has 6 points of damage. Oh, she killed the artifact. That's okay. That's okay. So, here we go. This is what we're going to do. Eist Twirsek. Resurrect Knut. Place Knut here next to the Svalblod Butcher. 3 damage, which we can then pop onto, say, Ida. Puts a 2-point target. Then we use Becker's Dark Mirror. And it's risky, you know, because it's a huge target. If they have a Scorch or something, it's not going to look pretty. But she has last say anyway, so, you know, if she was going to Scorch it, she was going to Scorch it. Okay, so let's do this. We are quite a few points ahead, 22. And there's the victory, look at that. Not enough points. And that is the kind of tempo options with the deck. You know, we lost Olaf, but it didn't really matter because we could use Berna in a similar way with Becker's Dark Mirror. So yeah, pretty happy with that, all things told. Pretty happy with that. I'll send our GG there. And let's jump into another game now, and I'll showcase this deck in action once more for you guys.
No retreat! Not one step!
So we are against Svalblod, so he's going to be damaging his own units. This isn't a leader I see all that much of. It's kind of regarded as a less good Crimson Curse leader, not as good as the others, so we'll have to kind of wait and see what our opponent does. So in terms of our mulligan, I think what we want to hold on to, we've got Coral, we've got 1 spell. We don't need Hjalmar. We've got 2 spells. We've got Heime Skjalds, but no real discard targets. And we don't have Harald, so we're going to get rid of the Svalblod Butchers. We are going first here, so the Uncreate Marauder is a little bit unfortunate. It's also tricky because, you know, having an opening play, a lot of our cards are reactive, so going first is slightly unfavorable, to be honest. So we'll see how this works out. But we'll play our boat out, and then we can play Coral once he gets some targets on the board. Okay, so this unit has Berserk, trigger this ability whenever base power is at half or less. So that is slightly worrisome in that actually we can just kill him, so it's fine. I was going to say slightly worrisome, but we're going to kill him with Coral in the boat. So let's do that.
I suppose.
So we're going to discard Spores. We got Olaf. We're going to discard Spores. We got Knut. We're going to kill this. And we are going to end our turn. Look at that. Clearing the board. Clearing the board. This guy is absolutely atrocious. Look at him. Like, that's a face only a mother could love, to be honest. To be honest. Not the prettiest princess at the party.
Pansy.
I really don't know what to expect out of this deck. It's not a leader you see a whole lot of, if I'm completely honest with you. What is our play here? Maybe Caldwell to get him in the graveyard for the next round. I don't hate that. We have Becker, so if he gets attacked, we can, you know, boost him back up, which is pretty nice. We need to get some bleeding units, or damaged units, before we can play the Svalblod Ravager. And we don't currently have anything we really want to discard with the Heime.
What? Who dares?
So let's just play Caldwell here. Caldwell's a bit safer in the first round if you have the tactical advantage. But I actually damaged the unit for him, which was kind of dumb. That's interesting. So he's going to boost this, but we do want to damage this in order to play the Ravager. But then if we play the Ravager, then his Olaf is going to get boosted, which is kind of awkward. We can't kill the Knut in one play. If it gets boosted, though, we can Becker's Dark Mirror it, right? Which is kind of fine. I don't really want to apply the bleed to it either. It's like, is this such an awkward round? I think we maybe maybe want to play Knut. But what do we damage with Knut? You know, this is our end play, really. Maybe we just play Yuto together in the graveyard.
So,
But we already have Coldwell in the graveyard, but that gives us a warrior. So we have a warrior and a Hjalmar target, which is kind of what we want to do here. We should have actually, what we should have done there is played the tactical advantage on Count Coldwell before we played Yuta. A little bit of a misplay.
Yes.
The reason we should have done that is that if we'd done it like that, then when we play Becker's, it would have, she would have been on full health, which would have been kind of better. Okay, so we can put the bleed on something now, which is nice. But really you want to put the bleed on something that's kind of big. So maybe we put it here on the Svalblod, on the Olaf. Now that he's triggered his ability, it's kind of fine. Let's do that. And we're like comfortably ahead here. We haven't spent, you know, too much. And we could always discard the Ankrate Marauder.
Give them no rest, no reprieve.
You know, it's not awful. I don't hate it. That's a play. And then he's going to pull another one of those. That's cute. That's cute. We're not too far behind, though. There's no harm necessarily in playing this here. I feel like we could take the risk. We can always Becker's also Yuta, but we've been kind of waiting till she gets a bit bigger. It just depends kind of how you feel. We've got enough damage units that we don't really need to damage anything else. So maybe we play the Becker's now. Depends if we really want to push out this round. And I honestly don't hate it, so let's do that. Let's do that. We're now up 12. Well, 11, but whatever. He's just like, I'm going to summon more Shield Maidens. But, you know, him summoning Shield Maidens isn't really an issue for us. And if we wanted to kill one, we could. We could damage Olaf by half. And there's the pass, which is what we expected to see here. We still have Knut in hand, though. Which is actually fine, because we can just res Yuta instead after we've boosted. Actually, this is fine, because we can res Yuta, so it's not too bad. Okay, so I'm going to mulligan the Butcher. And then the Longship. I think we pass here. The problem is we don't have Burna. And we could try and find Burna utilizing the Skjald. But potentially instead what we do now is we play the Skjald, I think. Hey, and then mulligan Morkvarg. It's risky because we're playing into this round. But he's going to have to play a 9 if he wants to get us here. And usually they don't have that many points to spend. And if he commits it to this round, you know, it's committing it to this round.
May Freya choose the victor.
And he doesn't have it. He's setting up... I don't know. I guess he's putting Yuta in the graveyard. I don't really understand. Let's pass now. So we've thinned a bit to make Burna more likely to be found. And it's a risk because, you know, we were down a card anyway. But because he couldn't keep tempo, it's kind of okay. Kind of okay. That was a champion's charge. Huh. Interesting. So, do we think we're going to find Burna? You know, that's what we're kind of looking for here. And that's not Burna, that's not Burna, and there's Burna. Okay, so we can hold on to our discard targets, which is this. We actually have a pretty good hand. I'm gonna throw the Longship. Do we keep Primal Savagery? I'm gonna throw Primal Savagery too. Yeah, because I wanted to find a discard target, which we managed to do. And this hand I think is actually looking pretty good. We have Harold, and we have Svalblod to synergize. We have a Olaf Knut res combo. We don't have Hjalmar, but we could find him. We have Ankrate Marauder to react to his first play. I'm very happy with this. I'm very happy with this. Okay, so this just dies.
Let us put our steel to the test.
And it doesn't even shoot him first because he triggers first, which kind of feels a bit bad. So we would like to find Vildkarl and Hjalmar Ankrate. If we don't, we don't. That's okay. But that's what we would like to find. Alternatively, I think we can probably trigger the Primal Savagery, and the Svalblods they're okay, you know. So this is something that we would like to kill in one go if we can, because otherwise he's going to get a bear. But we don't have options to do that, so instead let's just play Burna.
We shall do it my way.
And do you remember when I said, like, we might draw these? We did in fact draw those, so no Hjalmar for us and no Vildkarl. It's not a bad combo, you know. He got the combo, which is nice. But we have played some of the stuff that we wanted to play, so that's good. And now we'll play Harold because he's played Knut, so we don't have to worry about the damage as much. Then we can start kind of shooting his units. Oh, is this gonna be like a we're gonna hit a a token. Let's see what happens. And then he shoots me. Well, that didn't work out the way we wanted it to. So let's play the butcher. If this hits another one of his, I'm actually going to be super salty. Oh my god, what are the chances? I'm sorry, but this is absolutely backfired and, you know, bit us in the arse here. It's not what you want to be seeing here. Not what you want to be seeing at all.
You're good. Real good.
Super unfortunate. Right, we're gonna take one more go at it. Let's take one more go. Come on, hit her. Thank you. Thank God for that. The problem now is we need to damage something else in order to trigger Svalblod Ravager, which we can actually do with Knut. So I think we play the totem next.
Accept our sacrifice!
Damage the ally to the right by 1, then boost health by 2. That's an interesting play. We can just kill this. Oh no, now we can't. That's kind of awkward. Kind of awkward. Because he's going to kill this and heal this, right? Let's do that for now. We would like to have something else damaged. But I think we just kind of continue down this road. Unfortunately, we're going to get 2 damage out of this, but it happens, right? It's not a bad play. So we have Knut, and we can only deal 3 damage with him at the moment, which is kind of not what we want to do. But now we have 2 bleeding units, so we can give something bleeding with this, which is good. So let's do that. And then we'll trigger this. And then we'll end our turn. And hopefully this is actually fine. I'm going to believe that it's fine. Because we have the Olaf into Knut play. But he does have his leader. I know these 2 Svalblod priests I'm a little bit nervous about. Let's see what happens. The question is whether he can deal with our Olaf, really. If he can deal with our Olaf, then this isn't going to be so hot. Giant boar, not huge. 7-point play. So here comes Olaf. And then we're going to res Yuta after we've boosted Olaf. So we'll see what his last card is. The thing is, damaging Olaf, you have to outright kill it or lock it. And I don't think he can do that.
Haven't got all day.
Oh, okay. Of course he has a freaking lock. Of course he does. Okay, so what of our viable warriors? Yuta's going to be a 6. I think it's enough. Although he's got his leader as well. We have 12 points, so I think we're just ahead. Oh, but he's got these triggering. Oh no, I think we're still okay. Okay. So we would have done this and boosted it.
I kneel to Svalblod and Svalblod alone.
And then we'll trigger this. And res this.
Exactly what
Not
I'd hoped
quite
for.
what we wanted, but it's actually okay. You know, it would have been nice to have the big finisher, but we got there by 2 points anyway. So not too bad. And yeah, not bad, not bad. We'll send a GG. So yeah, that is the deck. If you enjoy it, maybe hit that like button. You can follow Freddybabes on Twitter. I'll link that in the description below, along with his Twitch. If you want to submit a deck for me to play, I do Fan Friday videos where I play you guys' decks. So you can do that by going to the Discord link in the description below and posting your deck in the Fan Fridays channel. Other than that, have an awesome day. Try and be good. If you can't be good, don't be bad. I've been Jaggerous, and hope I'll catch you in the next video. Bye!